Good morning, everybody. Kat Hutchinson here. A Good Measure Bakers. Um, so good morning, and I'm wearing this shirt that says "My identity is in Christ," and you can see it's like a fingerprint and a cross. And the scripture actually comes from 2 Corinthians 5:17. So everybody watching pretty much knows I'm a Christian, and the Lord has saved me from so much. Um, and it's really important um, for us to have our identity in Christ. So if that's something that maybe you're new to your walk, or you're in a revival in your walk, or you're a mom or a dad and things are different in your life, and you're like, Lord, what's your purpose for me? This purpose is for you to identify yourself with Him. So just think about that today. And remember, you can't see the bottom of my shirt, but 2 Corinthians 5:17. You know, I something I really, really, really want in my life is for people to look at me and see the Lord's fingerprint on my whole body. When Jesus comes back, he'll have a tattoo on his thigh, kind of like with Jacob wrestling with the angel of the Lord, which was Jesus, and it'll say, "King of Kings, Lord of Lords." That's who Jesus is to me. He's my King and He's my Lord, and I'm His daughter of the King. All right, so here we go today. So we're continuing our series on things that you get from the food pantry. What can we do with them? Even to make a quick dinner. So today is a quick dinner show. But so I'm filming by myself. And my husband's still kind of training me up on that. He's got to go to work today. But praise the Lord for my husband. Praise the Lord for the hours that He's provided. And praise the Lord for just constantly showing me what I need to do as a wife and a mother and the daughter of the King. So I'm going to switch camera view. So here you can see I've got my bread, my dough that had risen overnight right there. And I've got a piece of parchment paper. And I've got some flour. And I just want you to know that this is no starter dough. I put it together last night, but you can put it together and let it raise for like 3 to 6 hours. It's your choice, however big you want your dough. I rose it last night, so it got very large. This is a sourdough, and it is 3 cups of bread flour. It is a whole packet of yeast, 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, or the very large crystals of Mediterranean salt. And it is also 1.5 cups of warm water. So we're going to put this together, and I'm going to put some gloves on real quick. My hands are really dry. All right, so just so you know, in my oven over here, I've had it on 450, and I'm about to take out the Dutch oven, which is not required. You can actually use like some other heavy bottom pan and actually cover it. So a Dutch oven isn't required at all. But I also want you to know with the other 2 meals we're making, I've got some chicken on the stove here. I had some breasts that were frozen. So this is your idea for the quick meal. And I'm parboiled them, so I'm about to turn them off, and I put them in the pot with a bouillon cube. You can also use bouillon paste, or you can make your own bouillon. Most of the time, I have my own chicken stock canned. But so I'm about to take out the Dutch oven. Okay. So before I started, I turned the Dutch oven on. I turned the Dutch oven on to 450. I'm sorry, I turned the oven on to 450, and when it got up to temp, I put the Dutch oven in it, so that would be hot as well, because you want the Dutch oven to be the same temperature as the oven. The reason being is that you want your bread dough, once it's in that Dutch oven, to actually continue to rise in the oven, and it's going to get a beautiful crust on it. So here we go. I'm going to show you exactly what I do. And as I said, I roast this overnight, and I just left it out on the counter because we had the heat on anyways. But you can do this for 3 to 6 hours and then have yourself a lovely bread to go with your dinner. All right. Okay, so I have a piece of parchment paper that I'm going to put directly into the Dutch oven. And right now I'm going to put some flour on it. And you can see I put the rest of the flour off to the side, and there's a reason for that. So just kind of spread it out. And then here I'm going to take my dough, and you see it's very stretchy, and I'm just going to gently plop it on top of this the parchment paper with the flour. And I want to try to get it directly on top of the flour, by the way. Then I'm going to use a dough scraper. That's not required, by the way. You can pretty much use your hands, but so what you want to do is kind of fold the dough over here. So you can do it like that, or you can take your hands and you can just fold it over. And it's sticky, as you can see, which is good, because that means this dough is alive. So once you kind of get it into a shape, and it's any shape you want to take the dough and flip it over, and you're going to tuck it, just like that, see? Then you can take your scraper, or you can use your hands again, and you're just going to tuck, like I said, you're going to just kind of shore up the sides here. And it's not any special shape, but it's still pretty light, fluffy, and airy, okay? So we've got this part done. I'm going to take my gloves off here. So, the pot is hot. I'll move this over. And I mean this pot is hot, okay? So, remember to use these. All right, put my gloves back on. So I'm in New York State, and when I say it's dry, it's dry. It's cold and dry. Okay, so you can see now I'm going to transfer this entire parchment paper with the dough in it right into this pan. So what I do is I grab it by the sides in like a triangle, and I'm going to put it right here, just like that. Now, this is your opportunity to say, do I want to put a couple of designs in it or something like that? I don't ever do that. All I do is take like a sharp knife, you know, or you can buy yourself a bread lamb if you really want to. And I just usually do a split down the middle. Just like that. The next thing to do is I take some, you know, Mediterranean salt, kosher salt, whatever you got. Put it over the top, just like that. Just a little bit. And then we're going to take the rest of our, not the rest, but some. We're just going to dust it. Just like that. Nothing else. Put the rest of our flour back in here. Okay, so now what you do is you've got your pot laid. But let's say you don't have a pot lid. Let's say like you found like a Dutch oven with no lid at a yard sale or one of the free places that in your town or something like that, or a community store or something. You can use foil. Okay? So we're gonna stick it in the oven. I lowered the rack, by the way. And it's gonna go in the oven right now for 30 minutes. So now that's happily in the oven for 450 on 30 minutes. When it's done at the 30 minutes, you're going to, you know, stop your time, leave it on 450, take the lid off, and we'll do another 12 to 15 minutes. But I'm telling you, no knead, no starter required, and it is the softest, crunchiest, best tasting sourdough you've ever had in your life. And a lot of people look at me like, this seems impossible. It's not. When I cater dinners or we have food here with you know, our extended family in the Lord, this is the bread we eat. Okay? Okay, guys. So in this series, like that we've been doing for a couple of shows, like I said, it's been like a lot of people are, it's hard times, right? So we've been going to the food pantry, or I think they also call pop-up mobile food cupboard, food link, things like that. So there's a bunch of things that we get from these places. We get like frozen chicken breasts. Some of them have rib meat, maybe not the best cuts. We get things like pasta. We get shelf milk. We get potatoes. See? And some of them aren't that great. I mean, there's a couple in here that I can't even use. We get some funky looking carrots. Celery. So today we're going to do two things. We're going to make a chicken pot pie, and we're going to make chicken broccoli Alfredo. Oh, and for the chicken broccoli Alfredo, I also got some broccoli florets. So let's kind of get started before we, there's going to be a couple of ways that we're doing things. Okay, so with using these chicken breasts with the rib meat, it's really about parboiling them and then cooking them with a flavor, because it's not the best cut of meat, but at the same time you can still use it, and you want to use it in something that you're going to be like like a chicken broccoli Alfredo or a chicken pot pie. But also we've got to boil some pasta, so this is something that I want to show you. Mason was in the background making faces at me. Say hi, Mason.
Hi.
So I made a face back at him. But anyway, when you boil pasta, if you go anywhere where they cook pasta all the time, it's as salty as the salt sea. So I've already got my water in here, but did you see how much salt I just put in there? People are probably going to be like, no, that's not true at all. But it is. So because I'm going to be using the cooktop in front of me today and the stove, I'm basically over here, I'm cooking the pasta, which I just turned the water on to high. And like I said, there's that much salt. And then two, I just finished these. I was cooking those earlier when I was like setting up this whole everything to do for this video. So here we go. This will be the edit point. All right, guys. So I just wanted you to kind of see. I'm going to be using these potatoes, this onion, celery. I'm starting to kind of set things up for the whole, making the pot pie and the chicken Alfredo. So a couple of things that I wanted you to see today, which is just really important. Most of the time we get these boxes from the food pantry and we don't have a choice. So like you can see, like here's a not so great potato, not going to use. Here's a not so great potato, not going to use. But here's some really great potatoes, right? I mean, these are like, don't use this one. But there are just fine potatoes in here. So chuck what you're not going to use and keep what you are going to use. But don't be afraid. You guys know that I do a lot of canning, so that's something to keep in mind. I mean, and all we're doing is, for this chicken pot pie, not very many potatoes are required. So I'm actually going to end up using potatoes for quite a few different recipes that are coming up here. But today, I think it's just about these ones right here. And then I'm going to be dicing up some celery and some onion. And these carrots I'm going to take in it, and later on I'm going to make butter parsley carrots out of them. So, skin them, slice them. end up parboiling them for a little while just to get them tender. Not soft, you know, and mushy, just tender, and then butter, salt, and parsley, and that's it. But, you know, it's not very hard. Alright guys, so we're back at this, and I am just about to put the pasta in this boiling water, okay? So that's done. Give it a little stir. And it's pretty cloudy because of the salt, but that's really cool. Cuts the boiling time in half, and it makes the pasta just what it's supposed to be, al dente. If you want to check that fact, go right ahead. But literally, pasta should be boiled in salt water that's as salty as the salt sea. So, in our elapse time, I actually processed all the vegetables. I'll turn this on the webcam. I peeled and diced all those little potatoes. Yes, it was some work, but it wasn't a huge deal. I diced and chopped up some onion and celery. So but the potato, onion, celery are going to be for the chicken pot pie. Knowing I'm going to make some parsley carrots later, I quickly skinned them and then, you know, cut them into little circles here. So I'm just going to sit them on the back of the stove. Now, I can see there's some activity in this pasta water, so I'm going to give it a couple more stirs. And I've got 3 minutes left on my bread. So that means when the bread is done, I'm going to take the lid off and then put it on the timer for another 12 to 15. But I have to remember that this pasta only needs to be al dente, so we're talking 8 to 10 minutes, okay? But we'll check it in the meantime. Also, I've got my chicken here, which I'm going to drain. And you can see the water's yellow because I threw a bouillon cube in it. So I'm going to drain it over here in the sink. And it's pretty hot. I'm going to put it back. Everything back in the pot. It's hot. All right. I'm going to take my kitchen shears, and for the chicken Alfredo, I'll be just, you know, cutting it into cubes like this. And you can see this is rib meat, so you'll have pieces like this that aren't that great. I just chuck it. But, so, the difference between breast and breast with rib meat means it was closer to the bone. So it's not going to be quite as flavorful unless you had cooked it with the bone. Obviously, they don't sell it that way. So, my suggestion is when you cook it, depending on how you want to use it, flavor it with something. Or use it that is going to use the meat with a dish that's going to have a lot of flavor, such as chicken pot pie or chicken Alfredo. But for the Alfredo, you can see I'm using my kitchen shears, trying not to cut my fingers off. My husband's leaving for work. I'll be all thumbs later. He'll call me, what do you call me?
No, thumbs are what you usually cut off first.
He used to say, I'll just call her Mrs. Nubs. But, yeah, so, I mean, usually, so, I think a lot of people don't use the things that, come in their knife set, such as your kitchen shears. These are handy for this job. You don't need to use a knife and, you know, be going like ultra crazy with a knife, and whatnot. So, but we're taking this chicken and we're doing a couple of different things with it, which is really cool. So when the pasta is about down to its last 3 minutes, that's when I'm gonna directly add my broccoli to it. So those are broccoli flirts. If anybody has ever seen broccoli flirts frozen from Walmart, They're like gargantuan size. Oh, so I actually have to cut them down a little bit further. And I'm gonna show you my little secret on how I do that. I know, I just turned the timer on the bread, but don't worry, it's okay. It's so funny. My kids are so used to me cooking for my business that as soon as the timer goes off, they start screaming, the timer! Alright, so I'm going to turn it on the face cam so you can actually see. I always put away the pot holders. But at least I didn't reach right in the oven. Okay. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to show it to you. Then I'm going to stick it back in the oven without the lid. And put the lid right over here. Kind of move this stuff over and turn it on our webcam. And you can see the bread is doing its thing. It's rising up into a dome. So I'm going to put it right back in the oven. Stir my pasta again. And I did not turn the carrots on. They're just sitting in water back here. Stir my pasta. I'm going to give it 15 minutes. Just move this off to the side back here. Keep your pot holders out. Okay, and like I said, I'm filming by myself today. My husband's in the background, but that's only because he's going to work. So I'm all by my little food. But it's okay. I did this once before, and it really made me appreciate what my husband does for me. So, all right. So we're going to keep processing this. And like I said, I've been wearing gloves today because we're in New York State. It is cold. And I'm not kidding. It is cold. Might have to edit that part.
You said it's cold, yet you still open the window.
I know, but don't do that. All right, so we're back here. We've got all the chicken we need for the... maybe we'll do a couple more pieces. I mean, who doesn't like chicken for chicken Alfredo? I'm actually going to put this in a bowl off to the side, so I might as well grab it now. One thing I love about Walmart is they sell these like dollar bowls here. And you can get like a 3-pack for like $1. And they're the perfect size for, you know, when you're doing your like food prep. I don't do a lot of food prep. I mostly do my food prep for when, you know, making videos. And this is, can you see that? That's rib meat, and that's really not that great. But you can cut around it, and you can get a nice piece like that. And this is all kind of scrap right here. So this is going to be the chicken that I'm going to shred up for the chicken pot pie. This is going to be all the chicken for the chicken Alfredo, which I'll put off to the side. So the chicken for the chicken pot pie. Grab another bowl here, and all we're going to do is just simply start shredding it up. So how do you do that? Well, because I did this kind of like tender, you can see it's pretty easily coming apart here. And honestly, because I cooked it, I parboiled it on the stove with some bouillon, you can really smell the flavor to it. But see, it's shredding up really easy here. And there's going to be quite a bit of chicken in this one chicken pot pie. Sorry about the crying in the background. We have a little angry Priscilla today. And then just put that off here. But look how gorgeous that is. And like I said, these aren't the best cuts of chicken. But does that mean you can't use it? No. You just find things that you can do with it. And truthfully, we should really be happy with what the Lord's provided it with us. I mean, He's provided the cold winter air, the sun that's peeking through the gray clouds today. He's provided the snow that my girls love so much. Oh my gosh, seeing them in the morning go, it's snow! So just remember that. If He gave you some chicken with rib meat, there's a reason for it. All right, done with that. All right, guys. So the pasta is, well, I'm sorry, the bread is now on just about 9.5 minutes. So now is the point where you can take your entire bag of broccoli and add it right to the pasta over here that's going to be finishing up. Okay? Grab my kitchen shears. And there's something that you should see. These are humongous pieces of broccoli. We don't want humongous pieces of broccoli. But what we can do is, like I said, you're going to boil it in here with the pasta, but you're not going to mush it. It's not going to be mushy. You're only going to give it like a 3-minute boil, and it's going to be tender, which that's exactly what you want for the chicken Alfredo. So you're going to pour it right in there. And I just want you guys to all keep in mind, these are things that I got from the food pantry, or the people decided to drop off here because they got it from the food pantry and they were so sure they weren't going to use it. Well, I'm praising the Lord that they blessed me with it, because I'm making 2 dinners right now for 2 of my sisters in the Lord that they just need a little pick-me-up. But how cool is that? But also, I'm able to show you guys that you can use these things. And when I said that salt water is salt, like the salt sea, it's not going to make your dish very, very salty because you're boiling it off. And as I threw in this broccoli, it actually stopped. It arrested the boil. So it's going to bring it back up, and we're just going to keep going here. All right, guys, and we're back. So the pasta's right below me, and it just finished, and I'll show you. So here we go. I did the pasta and the broccoli all together. Before I drain it, I'm going to put my gloves back on. So before I drain it, I'm going to take a slotted spoon here, and I'll put this under the camera so you can see. And you can see the pieces are still big, but I have got my kitchen shears, and right here that you can't see is the colander that I'm going to use for the pasta. So I'm just going to take it and cut through it to make it smaller pieces. So making this with your kids, for your kids, you're gonna want smaller pieces. Some of them aren't so bad, like these ones are fine. They can go right in the colander. And you're gonna add that pasta right to the colander. There's no point in dirtying like 10,000 dishes here. But not all of them need to be cut, as you can see. And it's hot. Beautiful pieces of broccoli in here. And actually, when we get to the point of putting it all together and stirring the Alfredo into it, you'll see that it'll actually kind of chop up the pieces of broccoli on its own very quickly. Now I'm going to strain it. You can't see that portion, I'm sorry. I can hear the oven. So I'm going to strain it. Kind of shake the water out of it. So here's my pasta and my broccoli. Pour it right back in. Give it a nice little stir here. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to it. Oh, I'm all fingers. My buddy Chris Hall, he had this really cool thing that he's been using. So to cut down on using aerosol sprays like for your cooking or your baking. Okay, everybody, and we're back. So bread is done. Pasta broccoli done. Got everything lined up, ready to go. So on the countertop stovetop, we're gonna put together the broccoli Alfredo and the chicken pot pie filling. So, and you'll see it from beginning to end. All right, so right now in this pot here, we're gonna be cooking the chicken pot pie. Okay, in this pot here, we're gonna be making the broccoli Alfredo mix. Actually, I had it backwards and I feel like an idiot. In this pot here, we're going to be doing the Alfredo. In this pot here, we're going to be doing the chicken pot pie. So let's get started. Oh gosh, I'm really embarrassed. So the Alfredo mix takes a half a cup of butter. I started my stovetop on medium, but this is also a countertop stove, so it's different. So right now I'm going to turn it down to low because we don't want to burn the butter, okay? So here I started this on medium and it's going to be going up really quick. So you want to put a third of a cup. What I have here is a third of a cup of butter. I know you probably wanted to say, oh, wanted to see her measure it out, but it is a third of a cup of butter. Just for somebody that cooks a lot, it's not hard to tell. So you can hear the butter in this pan is actually going up quite a bit. So this pan I'm going to turn down. I'm going to melt it. Whoop! See, that's very hot. We don't want we want kind of like a clarified butter, not a brown butter. So that's why I lifted off the stove. This is beginning to melt, which is great. I'm sorry about the kitchen havoc. All right, so now here we're going to add the garlic. So today, instead of chopping up garlic, somebody got a bunch of this minced garlic from the food pantry, so we're going to use that. So a half a clove is about a tablespoon of garlic. I just heap it. And add a little bit more. Sorry about the background noise, guys. So I'm going to get out my stirring utensil. Got one here for this. I've got one over here. So start to stir this. And I want to cook the Alfredo until it's aromatic. This over here is ready to have the onion and the celery go in. Just stir it around a little bit. So you can see this is like, you know, simmering. It's just about aromatic. As for the pot pie filling, you want to get these tender before we add the flour and begin the roux. That was a little scary, guys. Alright, so for here, for the Alfredo mix, I'm about to add the 2 cups of cream. And it doesn't have to be anything specific. I actually have just whipping cream from Walmart. This is heavy whipping cream. I use it a lot for making frosting for all the birthday cakes that I make. So adding the 2 cups of cream. Gonna give it a stir. Gonna turn it up to medium. And I'm gonna set my spoon down and just leave it alone for a minute. Turn the pot handle out of my way. Now over here, the onions are starting to get translucent, which is great. That's really what you want at this point. And you can smell the butter, the celery, and the onions. So in Italy, Spain, France, oh gosh, where else? I guess Portugal. The way to start almost everything is with onions and celery. Okay, so this is pretty translucent, and I've got 1/3 cup of flour here that I'm going to add to the chicken pot pie filling. And I'm going to stir it. It's still on medium at this point. I'm going to stir it and really coat the onion and the celery. You can see it almost looks like sand on the onion and the celery. Then, this is another thing we've got. This is shelf-stable milk. Once it's opened, you stick it in the fridge. But we're going to add a cup very slowly. So you can start a little bit here. And this would be when you want to turn it up to medium high. And you're going to stir. And I've actually got to go right back over here to my other pot and start stirring. With the Alfredo mix, it's like 10 minutes on the stovetop until it gets really thick. And you will know it will get thick. So now I'm going to add some more. We're going to stir. And then we're going to add a little more. And that's the rest of that one. Get this stirred right up, and that looks great. So now in here, I put all my spices together and my minced garlic, which actually came out of the same jar. So there's pepper, there's no salt. Oh wait, yeah, there's salt. There's pepper, there's salt, there's rosemary, there's chicken bouillon, the minced garlic. What else? Oh, and celery seed. If you want the recipe, don't forget, you can always text 585-905-5236. Or you can message me on Facebook, or we're hoping to get to the point where you can post it right in comments, but my husband hasn't gotten there yet. And we're going to stir that around, and you're going to turn it down a little bit. Because I've got to come back over here. You can see this is bubbling, this is boiling, and I just want to, every now and then come back to it and stir. Because the biggest thing is you don't want the cream to burn to the bottom of the pan. You want it to thicken, but you don't want it to burn. Alright, so we got this all stirred up here. So it's kind of a little too thick for my liking. So this would be the point when I grab a little bit of water, about a cup, and I would just keep it off to the side. So here's a cup of water, keep it off to the side. because now we're going to put in our potatoes here, as you can see. Remember, I diced those up earlier. Those were the potatoes from the food cupboard. And this is another thing we got. Actually, somebody dropped this off. This was a bag of mixed vegetables, and it's like, you know, Great Value brand. This recipe actually calls for 1 cup of mixed vegetables. So we're going to stir that in. And I would not recommend canned. Let me stir this a little bit because, like I said, we don't want it to burn. But it's thickening up. You can actually feel it as I'm stirring it like this. You can feel the thickening. So here you go. And you can't, don't be scared of frozen mixed vegetables. There's nothing nefarious in it. But you can see how thick this is already, right? So that's when I would take my water here and I'd start to thin it out just a little. And we start there. Now remember, all of our chicken, that's going to go right in too. But you can see this is super thick. Thick, thick, thick. Add a little bit more water. Turn off the heat. And it's done. I'm going to actually put this off to the side on the stove. Okay, for the Alfredo. And it's thickening up beautifully. Make sure I got this off. Yes, I do. It's thickening up beautifully. I had this on medium. Yeah, medium the whole time. So, and it's not really boiling, as you can see. It's more kind of a simmer. So I'm going to start to turn it down. And now is the point where we're going to add pepper and this is just some Great Value pepper. You know, some pepper here. A little bit more. Oh, that looks gorgeous. I'm going to turn it down. Excuse me. I'm going to grab a little cup of coffee, a little sip of coffee. And I'm just going to let that sit a little bit. Turn this on the face cam. Okay, so over here, remember we put the chicken pot pie mix off. It's still hot. So knowing that I'm going to put this in the oven, I already have my 10-inch pie pan. You can use a 9-inch pie pan because I'm going to actually show you the prepared pie crust that I've got. We're going to roll it out a little bit further, okay? There'll probably be some editing here. Okay, I'll take care of it after. Okay, so knowing that we're going to be making, I've got my pie crust off to the side. I'm going to spray the pan. And I'm just going to, I've got my pie pan off to the side. I'm going to set it aside. So I talked about using refrigerated pie crust. And again, this came from the food pantry. And this is just, this is just Great Value. Personally, I'll endorse Aldi's already prepared refrigerated pie crust any day. And I'll tell you why. They use shortening. There are no eggs in it, and there's no dairy in it. Any day. There's also vinegar in it. But any day, I will endorse them. But this came from the food pantry. So, turn this back on the webcam. So I'm still stirring this. It's not quite as thick as I want it to be yet, and I'm not ready to put the um, Parmesan in yet. Oh, and that's something else. So you can take this recipe and do it a couple ways. So you can use shaky cheese. This came from the food pantry. Or you can use shredded Parmesan, which you get if you want to save on your dollars. You either get it from Aldi's or you get it from Walmart. Anywhere else is going to be really expensive. Sometimes Wegmans has a sale. But if you guys aren't watching this in New York State, you probably don't have a Wegmans. Maybe you got a Kroger. I don't know. But so still stirring on that. And then over here, I'm just gonna, you know, keep an eye on this. This is really nice and thick. It's gonna be juicy. The only thing that I might do is add just a tad bit more water to it, but that's gonna taste great. All right, so I'm gonna put some stuff away. So before you use these pie crusts, you actually want to get them out and get it ready to use. Because they're a little bit harder to work with. And I'm going to actually be moving my stovetop out of the way and showing you how I put together that pie. It's almost ready. Oh, it's beautiful. And this whole time I turned down my oven from making that bread, so it's on 425 and it's ready to go for the chicken pot pie. Which honestly, I swear, all kids love it. This smells so good. You can smell the garlic. You can smell the cream and the butter. Wow, the wind's really blowing out here in New York State. And we are just about at the point. You can time it. I didn't do that because one way I know when it's ready is I'll be stirring it around and every now and then I'll see the bottom of the pan. I haven't seen it yet. But I can feel on the paddle on the bottom of my wooden spatula, I guess it's, I don't know what it is, my wooden spatula here, that the cream is getting thicker. So that'll be perfect for when I add the the Parmesan to it. See, I don't know if you guys saw that, but literally, I just saw the bottom of the pan. So we're getting to a point where we need to be with this cream. And that's what an Alfredo is. I'm not sure how to translate it because I'm not Italian. Ooh, it's hot in here. But it's really about having a thicker cream and then you're just adding the cheese to it. And like I said, you can go either way with it. And we are just about there. Every now and then, I'm hoping we catch this on film. You can see the bottom of the pan as I'm stirring. And it's just a quick check. It's like it's not like you're going to see the whole bottom, but you'll just like catch a glimpse of it. And that, as I've been trained in in all the years that I've cooked, that's one way to tell. Maybe somebody has a different way. But yeah, I just saw it. Maybe that was caught on film. All right. So I'm going to turn this off completely because it's hot. And you can see it hasn't arrested. It's still simmering. But it's going to arrest as soon as I add this Parmesan. And I'm going to put some parsley in it too. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So next thing is I'm actually going to take this off of the stove and put it over here. I'm gonna unplug this and we're gonna move everything. Okay guys, so I moved the cream over here and it's thickening on its own, just being warm on the stove, no heat. Remember, we got our pasta over here and our chicken. But right now I'm gonna show you how I put together the chicken pot pie and then we're gonna stick it in the oven, okay? It's gonna be fun. All right, here we go. So you got your 2 pie crusts here. And you already spread your pan. Like I said, you can do a 9 or a 10 inch, that's your call. And I laid out a piece of parchment paper here because I'm going to use it as my work surface. Even though I already cleaned it off, it just makes it easier for me. And you'll see why. So I just unrolled my pie crust, put my stirrers over here, and I'm going to roll out my dough. It's a lot easier. Like I said, I'll endorse the Aldi's refrigerated pie crust any day. It's a lot easier with that. But this makes for a nice crispy dough and whatnot. So now we're going to put it in the pan. And this is how I do it. I'll tend to, like, you know, fold it over like so. Just grab a piece of it like that. And whoop, lay it over top of my pan. Take the parchment paper away. And then just kind of gently push it into place. Because we don't want to, you know, break the dough. Which you can see it can. You can easily break and stretch. And we don't want to do that. So now we got that. All nice and beautiful there. So I'll push this off to the side here. You can see now we got the filling. Very thick. I don't feel like we really need to add much water to it, but I'm just going to add a little. Because during it's going to be 60 minutes, 50 to 60 minutes in the oven. All right, so here we got that. Just kind of center it a little because you're going to end up sealing your sides. Now we're going to put it all in. Put that off to the side. Does that look gorgeous? It is heavy, and look at the amount of chicken and veggies in there. And yeah, you may have gotten a little bit of extra help by, you know, using some frozen veggies or something like that. Whoop-de-doo. I don't think there's some nefarious ingredients in frozen vegetables, but I could be wrong. But my point is, use what you got. Be happy with what the Lord's provided you. And I know that's hard. I have a hard time with it too. I really do. I mean, there were years with my business where I was like, Lord, why isn't it doing better? And you know what? In the Lord's timing, the Lord blesses us according to His mercies, according to our righteousness too. So it's something we have to remember. All right, so I rolled this one out and place it over top. Simple like that. Throw out my parchment paper. Kind of move it around a little bit. Make sure I got it on there. This is what I do. I take it, I pinch, and I flip. that. It's very simple. And it looks great too. And then I will go back around and make sure it's nice and it stays together, because a couple of things can happen. When you stretch out already prepared pie crust, they'll shrink easy. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, now we're going to take an egg, put it in the bowl, add just a little bit of water. Okay, I'll do it over here so it's not getting the entire counter dirty. So you're gonna like kind of scramble it. And you're gonna brush the top of this pie crust. You can do the sides if you want to. All this does is make it just a beautiful golden brown, beautiful looking pie crust. So, and I just, if you're gonna do the sides, that's all you really need to do right there. If you got a German Shepherd, hey Shadow, you want this? She can finish off that egg for you. All right, next thing I do is I take my, sorry I didn't get this out before, guys. I'd find my poultry seasoning, which I'm embarrassed that I'm not finding. No. Huh, okay. So this is what I would do. Some rosemary. Little bit of salt. I'm sorry, this is pepper. Little bit of salt. Tad of ground sage. I mean a tad. Little bit of parsley. I'm gonna line a cookie sheet with foil. Who else, when you come down to the end of the foil, you just take it right out of the box and just say, oh, just look at this. All right. Put it right on top of the cookie sheet and stick it in the oven. Oh, let me rearrange my oven height, because we don't want it on the lowest. You want it on the mid. All right, stick it in the oven. Well, bam. It's on 425. Let me turn it back on face cam. It's on 425, and we're gonna time it. We're gonna start it at 45 minutes. So let me wipe this off, and we're gonna put together the Alfredo. All right, now we're ready to put together this Alfredo, this chicken broccoli Alfredo. So you see, I've got everything here. I've got the broccoli and the pasta. I've got this gorgeous cream. Look at this. And you see how thick it is? There are times where I'm storing it around, and you can see the bottom of the pan. And I've got my dressed chicken. So being that this is going to a sister in the Lord, I've got a lovely to-go pan here. All right, so here we go. You're gonna take this, and remember, we put just a little bit of olive oil on it, just enough to keep it where you're able to stir it. Like the starch hasn't just completely put this pasta together. So before I pour the chicken in, I'm actually gonna put this Alfredo on. So I'm gonna get myself a spatula because I want to get it all out. I mean, this is good. This is good. And I'm just pouring it right on top here. All right, set this off to the side. Put it over here. I've got quite the dishes to do today. But to me, it's honestly worth it. It's a lot sometimes. So now I'm gonna stir this. I'm not gonna like completely coat everything, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I'm just stirring this up here, because now I'm gonna put the chicken in. I bet you were wondering, when is this guy gonna put this chicken in? It's chicken broccoli Alfredo. But make sure you put the pieces that you dropped back on the side. Oh my goodness, this is incredible. I might need a taste tester. Mason! Mason, I need a taste tester! He's laughing. I can hear him laughing. Okay, put your phone down.
Alright, what is that?
So what I'm going to do is add a little extra Parmesan before I grab Mason in his bed here. Alright, so we're going to throw some Parmesan on here. You can never have too much Parmesan or garlic. Let me stir it up a little bit. He's fixing his hair.
Yeah, it's so messy.
Oh my gosh, I love Mason. Alright, I'm going to let it sit like that. Put it on face cam so we can get Mason's full reaction. Say hi, Mason.
Hi.
Alright, let me grab you a fork.
Okay.
You want it? You want to like a piece? I know. I'll grab you.
Top.
It's not hot, actually.
I said a top.
Alright, Mason's got some, this chicken broccoli Alfredo body. Is Mason eating it?
Hmm?
What? Mikey likes that!
It's good.
Good?
Mhm.
There you go. See, that came from a kid.
It's like not soft or not like hard or anything. It's really good.
Yeah, it's like al dente.
Mhm.
And what do you think of the cream sauce? And the broccoli?
Really good, yeah.
Is the broccoli too soft or is it just right? It's like just chewy enough for... You can't talk because this tastes so good.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually really good. Yeah.
All right, so we're done with that. I'm actually going to put this in a to-go container, and that bread is going with it. I'm going to wrap that up and probably give this to Mason and Priscilla for lunch because honestly, it's not all going to fit in this container. So we're done with that. We're taking a break, and then we'll be back. All right, so we're back, and I just want to show you how this dinner is going to look, you know, when I send it out. So I've already put the chicken broccoli Alfredo in here, and we've got so much left. I mean, look at that. That's going to be for Mason, me, and Prissy. Probably send some over to Grandma Gail, too. For some reason, she decided to drive. You better be safe, Grandma. And we're going to take this beautiful bread. Look at that. You see, it's very, very soft. It's got a beautiful crust bottom. And all I'm going to do for that is actually just wrap it up in some plastic wrap. And then another sister in the Lord is going to pick this up and drive it to our friend, Mary Lou. So it's really going to bless me too, because honestly, I make so much food. The Lord literally has people drop off ingredients here. How can you not share what the Lord's provided you? But because this bread is still hot, it actually self-seals with the plastic wrap. So just wrapping it up. Anybody can do this. I'm telling you. There's so much hype when it comes to sourdough, and you know these the other at-home bakers in my area selling it, and they're just selling it at ridiculous prices, and you could be doing it yourself. All right, so I've still got the chicken pot pie in the oven. That's got another 33 minutes because we started it at 45, and I'm about to text Martha, and she's gonna come pick this up. So we'll be back. All right, guys, so we're back. The chicken pot pie is done. And in the meantime, I actually started these parsley carrots. So they're just going to sit on the stove on medium and just get tender before I drain, add butter, parsley, pepper, and salt. That's it. But that's just a side. So nothing too crazy. Let's check this pie out. Oh my goodness. Hit this oven. Okay. So, turn on webcam. Like I said, it went for the 45 minutes, but usually it can go 50 to 60. So, one way to tell that it's done is around the edges here. I'll lift it up so you can see it a little bit better. Along the edges here, there's a crack. And you might be able to see it. Maybe I can hold this with one hand. There's like these cracks, and you'll see filling come through, and it'll bubble up right around the cracks, and when that's bubbling, it's done. But look at this 10-inch behemoth of a meal, and it's got a beautiful top on it because of the egg, and very flaky crust, as you can see. And it's gorgeous. It's done. So I'm going to let it cool off to the side here. And we're finished. And what a great way to bless two sisters in the Lord and their husbands with making them some food. And what a great way to use what the Lord's given you. You don't have to be afraid of foods. You don't have to think to yourself, well, I need something more expensive to make these impressive meals that my family will eat that just taste good. You don't have to. It's not a necessity. Be blessed with what you have. And keep following. Keep checking out these posts. You know, maybe if you follow, you should get like an alarm or a notification or something when we post it to YouTube. But I just want to say thank you for joining me. Don't ever be afraid to ask for prayer. You can text it right to me or message me on Facebook. My cell number is 585-905-5236. And like I said, learning process, but totally blessed by it. So big hearts, everybody, wherever you are in the world today. Just know that Jesus loves you. Wherever you are in your walk with him or without him, he's waiting for you. And he loves you.